Tonight on Q2, a breakdown in trust.
The animal shelter's leadership casting doubt on the city and threatening to leave the facility after an incinerator mishap has left it shut down.
We will not go back into the building unless the crematorium is considered inoperable.
Plus a sneak peek behind bars.
As you can see, long corridor hallways.
Tonight, a look at Yellowstone County's new jail facility as it nears completion.
And fiber frustrations.
What we came to the conclusion is the city didn't react fast enough.
Residents in one Billings neighborhood come together with TDS, but is anything solved?
The MTN 530 News starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
And good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Andrea Lutz.
And I'm Russ Riesinger. New tonight, an ultimatum.
The director of the Yellowstone Valley Animal Shelter says her staff will not return to work at the current shelter until there's a guarantee that the shelter's incinerator will no longer be used.
This as we're learning more about previous issues with that incinerator. Our Vanessa Willardson joins us with the new information we're learning tonight.
This is a copy of the inspection report just released today, outlining what was found during the inspection to the building this week. The big takeaways: the shelter says this report confirms trace amounts of meth still present. Cleanup crews will now get exact instructions on what needs to be cleaned up.
We will not go back into the building unless the crematorium is considered inoperable.
That's the bottom line for YVAS Executive Director Trinity Halverson. Halverson says she no longer trusts the city, following an incinerator malfunction that sickened 14 employees and dozens of animals, exposing them to meth.
We do not trust the city to use it appropriately, to repair it. We don't trust the system, and we never want to be put back in the position that we were in before.
1 week after the incident, a report is now out, detailing the current condition of the facility. While Halverson says it shows many items like canned dog food and medical equipment can be salvaged, trace amounts of meth were detected outside the incinerator area.
I do still have a handful of staff members that are experiencing negative side effects and symptoms from smoke inhalation, and I've had probably about half now return to the hospital for additional care since the first night.
According to Halverson, shelter staff first reported backdrafts and smells from the incinerator 2 years ago and alerted the city.
Honestly, it was really difficult to have it taken seriously. I had to kind of push and push.
MTN obtained these reports, showing at least 2 companies were hired to investigate. Both recommended repairs to counter a negative pressure issue, everything from building a new automation system to varying the speed of the exhaust fan. The city says repairs were made, but Halverson says the practice of burning narcotics continued.
And they continued to dispose of dangerous drugs in an animal crematorium on a site where there are people and animals, instead of using an appropriate incinerator for that job.
MTN reached out to both the mayor and the city administrator Wednesday. Both declined our requests for interviews. City Administrator Chris Kukulski says no other concerns about the incinerator were reported until just last week. Kukulski is scheduled to meet with YVAS representatives Thursday. As for Halverson, she says one thing is non-negotiable.
Our stance is that the appropriate level of meth contamination for an animal shelter is 0. And we won't go back in the building until it has been treated as such.
In Billings, Vanessa Willardson, MTN News.
Also new tonight, we're hearing from Riverstone Health.
Well, Riverstone acts as a liaison between the city and the Montana Department of Environmental Quality and works in a regulatory role to ensure protocols are followed. Riverstone tells MTN it was notified about a scheduled burn on September 10th, and it was approved based on the information that was provided.
However, Riverstone Health goes on to say, quote, it had no knowledge that the alternative burn on September 10th would be used for destroying methamphetamine. Riverstone says the health department has long approved the disposal of pills and marijuana at that facility, but has never witnessed or approved the destruction of meth.
Overcrowding continues to plague the Yellowstone County Jail. Tonight, work is underway on a $6 million expansion to help ease that pressure. The new short-term holding unit will add 9,000 square feet to the facility. And for the first time, our Charlie Kleps takes us inside a space to house nonviolent offenders.
A year ago, when I stood right here, all you could see behind me was a pile of dirt. But now that clearly has changed, with this facility nearing completion, and it's aiming to fill a major need. The work is steadily underway.
There might be a few people still doing a little paint touch-ups and some cleaning, but
The final product is close to being a reality.
this is what's more described as a linear style jail.
These long hallways, an extension at the Yellowstone County Detention Facility, dedicated completely to short-term holds.
It got frustrating being a patrol officer, dealing with the same people on a daily basis.
Yellowstone County Sheriff's Office Captain Brandon Smart says it'll fill a crucial need, giving the facility enough space to hold nonviolent criminals who in the past would have been released.
So we got to the point, if you're not a violent felony offense or currently a threat to the public, patrol wasn't bringing you in anymore.
And we did not have any opportunity to put them in jail and hold them accountable.
Billings Police Chief Rich St. John echoed Smart's frustration.
We'd arrest the same people over and over and over again. There were no consequences. Extremely frustrating for the officer, extremely frustrating for our citizens to see.
But in a few weeks, that will no longer be the case.
Here's a look at what a cell looks like.
32 new short-term holding cells have been added onto the west side of the detention facility.
This will give the tools of arrest back to patrol.
Yeah, we're very excited here at the police department. This has been a project long overdue.
And while St. John and others are excited, they know there's more work to be done, with the entire detention facility still far over capacity.
That conversation continues. Yellowstone County Detention Facility is terribly small for this population and the work that we have to do here.
Still, it's a step in the right direction.
Certainly going to benefit the police department and ultimately the citizens, and that's what it's all about.
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
BNSF crews are working at this hour to clean up a train derailment with at least 2 cars left on their sides and another leaning off the tracks. Details are limited at this hour, but the derailment occurred this afternoon inside the Laurel rail yard. A reporter on scene said the incident did not seem to be impacting service as crews worked to get the cars back upright. The cause of the derailment and what materials are in those cars are unknown, but one train enthusiast says anytime something like this happens, it can be concerning.
This is a pretty low-speed area that, it looks like they were just moving a couple cars. So for it to derail like this, it is concerning because, it leaves question to were the tracks damaged or is there something wrong with the railroad ties? Did the tracks shift?
Now, we have reached out to BNSF for more information on the incident, but have not yet heard back.
I want to thank Bob Anderson for sending in his picture from the weather station up around Dead Man's Basement, Shawmut area. Here's what's happening. They're picking up 1.2 inches of rain here over the course of the last couple of days. So let's switch over to Doppler radar. Way over there, there's where Bob is. There's Billings. Now just off towards our east, areas of showers and thunderstorms have started to develop. Move through around Custer, Montana, and down towards Hardin, moving down towards Coal Strip and Lame Deer area. This has the potential for 40-mile-per-hour winds. Maybe even some half-inch hail could be involved with some of these storms. We'll be watching this in the short term and talking about your 7-day forecast in just a few minutes from now.
Tonight, day 2 of a high-stakes climate case is closing out in federal court in Missoula. In Lighthizer versus Trump, 22 young plaintiffs are suing the federal government, arguing 3 energy executive orders violate their constitutional rights to life and liberty. The case mirrors Held versus Montana back in 2023, where a judge sided with youth activists. Inside a packed courtroom today, jurors heard testimony from climate experts and some of the plaintiffs themselves. Government lawyers pushed to toss the lawsuit, but a ruling isn't expected anytime soon.
Well, now to a Q2 follow-up. Residents in a West End neighborhood are growing impatient with talk and now demanding action.
It comes after their park was torn up and sprinklers broken after they say TDS Fiber laid new optic lines. Now, 2 weeks later, the mess still exists.
But as our Matt Carmack tells us, that is about to change.
2 weeks later, and change is yet to come.
I want eyewitness. I want to see somebody down in that hole digging and working. That's what I want.
The dried, dead grass still remains at this neighborhood park in the Olympic subdivision. Its only help, rainwater, not the sprinklers.
You know, nobody's really too concerned about getting this fixed.
Earlier this month, MTN spoke with nearby resident Scott Snyder, who alerted the city of Billings about the issue. Scott said TDS, a fiber optic company, destroyed this park's sprinkler system when installing wires.
My overall goal is to see the sprinkler system running.
On Wednesday, Scott met with city officials and a representative from TDS to express his concerns.
The city is in charge of maintaining the parks. Okay, I don't think this has been watered all year long.
City officials listened to Scott's concerns and said that although repairing the damage is TDS's responsibility, the city could have been more proactive in preventing the park from getting this bad.
We under-responded to the magnitude of the problem, but I'll also tell you there were stacks of problems ahead of it that I still would have put higher than this.
What we came to the conclusion is the city didn't react fast enough.
Mike Boyette with the city council tells me that he wants to hold TDS accountable.
They're the responsible. We need to make sure that they're accountable.
It was decided that TDS is no longer allowed to install wires in Billings public parks until the situation is handled.
It was a big water line that was hit, and from the conversation today that you heard, they were hoping within a few days at the worst that we should see some water turn back on.
As of now, the sprinkler systems still aren't working. However, at the meeting, both parties made a decision to prevent the situation from happening again.
There should be some changes in the prime directive about what to do in the future when things need to be maintained.
According to city officials, change is now on the way.
Well, I think the news, media, and the constituents not being happy has made it more of a priority for them to fix it than something else.
In Billings, Matt Carmack, MTN News.